Hello, if you're new here, my name is Melissa, but if you are one of my beloved subscribers and you've been following along, then you already know that you can call me Missy. I recently acquired some new art supplies and I've never used this particular supply before and I've been really itching to just play with it. And so I'm finally going to do that today. I've had it for a couple months and I've just been putting it off until I was ready to go ahead and make a video so that I can document my first time using this new art supply. Hopefully things go well and I end up with a good product, because you never know. A new supply might just not gel with me, but here we go. The new supply to which I am alluding is gouache paints, and I have them here in this hat, mostly because they were just sitting in a plastic bag, and I thought this hat would just be nicer, less crinkly. But what I have today is Liquitex Professional Acrylic Gouache. Whenever I go to Michael's, I always check out the clearance section, and I found these. This one was $5. This one was $5. I think most of them were $5. Yeah, $5. This one was $3. So I got two reds, scarlet and cadmium free, because one of them looked like it would be a little bit more of a cool red. Another one would be a little bit more of a warm red. This is how I tend to operate. I got two blues, a primary blue and a phthalo blue, and I got two yellows, cadmium free light and cadmium free medium. I looked in the regular section as well as the clearance section, and they did not have any white paint, but I did find this light neutral gray 7. I don't know how neutral it'll be, but it seemed like it was lighter than some of my darker colors, so I can use this to perhaps lighten things up a little bit. And the final thing that I got is actually a little bit more out there. It's just an acrylic ink, not a gouache, but I liked how bright this pink was, and I thought that it would be fun to try and play with this color too. I also have prepared some watercolor paper for myself. It's just up on my easel right now so that I can show it to you. I'm going to be working on my desk actually, but as you can see, I have them all taped to this board. They have been pre-stretched, which basically just means that I got them all wet and then let them dry out, and that's supposed to like stretch the paper so that it doesn't get all wrinkly. I'm not a super experienced watercolor artist. It's not my main medium that I like to use. So if you are a watercolor artist, please feel free to correct any of my terminology in the comments, and also give me any tips that you might have. With that, all of my introductions are complete. I can put on my apron and get to work.
Since you clicked on this video, you saw in the thumbnail that today I am going to be painting pride-themed bees. I don't identify as part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and I really struggled over whether or not to post this video. I was inspired to film it as I was seeing an increase in anti-LGBTQ+ legislation within my country, and especially within my state, where they banned the pride flag from being hung in government buildings. But then I chickened out because I was worried that it would be the wrong kind of allyship, or that I was too far out of my lane, or that it felt like my voice was too small and it wouldn't matter anyways. But as the first week of Pride Month has unfolded, I'd noticed a lot of just mourning from within the LGBTQ+ community over rights being threatened and allyship being withdrawn. Allyship is so important.
My first painting is done. I don't think it looks that great. It's a good thing that I already have some rainbow bees that I am happy with. But that was a good practice. I'm going to keep going. I do feel a little bit on the tired side, and I had a headache earlier. I had to go lay down and stuff. I also took off all of my accessories because I felt like maybe those were just being overstimulating. But I am feeling a little bit better at this point after having a bit of a lie down. So I am going to continue. I did go ahead and sketch another bee out. And so I'm going to go ahead and paint that one next. I think I've got a bit of an idea based on what I did here with this first bee on how I can maybe use this medium to its best advantage. So let's see if I'm able to do that with this next bee.
Ultimately, it was pointed out to me that even though my voice and my platform are small, I am currently living what people would call a traditional family life. I am a stay-at-home mom with 2 children and a husband whom I've been happily married to for 15 years. So you can see that as I advocate for pride, I am not looking to attack the type of family that I myself have built. I also grew up Mormon. I was taught and believed that being gay was wrong. Everyone's experience within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Mormon Church, is going to be different. I was given lessons where I was taught to follow blindly. However, I was also given lessons where I was taught that God does not look for blind obedience, that we are always allowed to use our reason. And that's the message that really stuck with me, was that we are welcome and are supposed to use our reason to determine whether or not what we were being taught was true. So as I was growing up and I learned about different rules, I believed that each of these rules had a reason and a purpose. So from about middle school, I was constantly asking, what is the reason or purpose behind this rule? What is the reason and purpose behind that rule? So I was always able to find satisfactory reasons that made me feel like my beliefs were true, but I did keep circling back to the prohibition on homosexuality. I would find a reason that satisfied me for a while, and then I would find evidence why that reason was incorrect or unfounded. Sometimes a reason was just based on a logical fallacy, like the slippery slope fallacy. Ultimately, I had to accept that my church was wrong about homosexuality, the same way that they were wrong about other past doctrines that they no longer believe in or practice. This video is not about me deconstructing my faith, so I'm not going to go much deeper into that. But I noticed through this process that if you start asking a question with a conclusion already in your mind, you are likely to come up with reasons why that conclusion is true, rather than coming at it with an open mind towards whether or not your preconceptions have any real weight. All right, well, that's 2 paintings done. There's 2 more to go, but we're gonna take a little break because every once in a while in my videos, I like to include a bit of silliness.
La 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 lava, cha 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 chicken. Steve's lava chicken is as tasty as hell. Ooh, mamacita, now you're ringing the bell. Crispy and juicy, now you're having a snack. Ooh, super spicy, it's alive.
This has been a bit of silliness. Now we return to our regularly scheduled bee paintings.
I've got 2 bees down, 2 more to go. I'm not going to be able to get all of the various pride flags done, but I'm going to get a few. I think bee number 2 turned out much better than bee number 1. Yesterday, I also sketched out the other 2 bees that I'm going to be painting today. So all I have to do is paint and then we'll be done. It has been cloudy. I have been a little bit sleepy. I don't know what that's all about. Probably just because it's cloudy. I always think it's fun to peel the paint off of that. That's what it looks like from the back. And that's what it looks like from the front. Hopefully I can get this done quickly. I was hoping to get this whole video done really quickly because I needed to stockpile up videos that I need to edit, because I also have to still take my camera in because the viewfinder is broken. I broke it because my tripod fell over, because it is also a little broken. It still works for the most part, so I use it, but it did fall over and it did break the camera. So let's get these last paintings done.
I feel like I need to address my little musical number because I am insecure and I don't know anything about music, but my kids got this earworm stuck in my head and I had the idea and I had to do it. So I'm sorry. Okay, that done. Let's go back to why I believe in the importance of Pride Month as someone who would maybe fit more comfortably at a straight festival or celebrating traditional family month. And the answer is pretty simple, and that is because Pride Month is needed and traditional family month or straight festival is not. Now, if you want to celebrate your straightness or your traditional family, I think that you are welcome to do that. But a lot of these sentiments are expressed with an attitude towards the LGBTQ plus community of we don't need Pride Month, which I think is kind of myopic. As a person who has only ever been in straight relationships, I can say for certainty that I have never had anybody look at me funny because I was holding hands with my partner. I have never been told that it was inappropriate for me to kiss my partner in public. And rather than having legislation against our getting married and having children, we have been actively encouraged to do so. I've additionally never been told that my attraction or my relationships were invalid simply on the basis of the fact that we were a heterosexual couple. Most of the media that I consumed growing up involved heterosexual couples, and that was never questioned or seen as shameful or inappropriate in any way. Contrast this with the experiences of people in the LGBTQ plus community. I think that you can see where one group is perhaps more justified in feeling attacked or invalidated.
To put a finer point on things, here are some facts about my state, Utah, which has been put forth by the Trevor Project, which is an organization that looks at improving mental health outcomes for LGBTQ plus youths. 42% of youths in this demographic in Utah seriously considered suicide in the past year, including 46% of transgender and non-binary youths. 11% attempted suicide in the past year, including 14% of those being transgender and non-binary. In the past year in Utah, 22% of LGBTQ plus young people were physically threatened or harmed based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. 66% of people in this demographic experienced discrimination based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. As an ally, Pride is an opportunity for you to show members of this community that you trust that they know who they are, that you're willing to stand up for them, that you don't support politicians that advocate anti-LGBTQ plus legislation, and that you are willing to learn more about their lives and experiences. Anyways, you can find all of this data and more on the Trevor Project. It seems like a really cool organization, so go ahead and check them out.
right, you've made it to the end of the video. I feel like 3 of these bees turned out really, really nice. And one of them, but you're welcome to let me know what you think about how they turned out in the comments down below. Anyways, I really enjoyed working with the gouache. I thought that it was really interesting. I wouldn't describe it so much as opaque watercolors as I've heard them described before, but more as like watered down opaque acrylics. I love how matte they are. I love the consistency is a nice flow when you're making a brush stroke. It's just a really satisfying process once I kind of started to understand what the process would be with these. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed your time here.
And I hope we can build more spaces where everyone can be themselves.
Bye.